Hello, everybody. You're looking live at Fansville, a college football utopia.
Fansville.
Where the rivers flow with ice-cold Dr. Pepper.
Delicious.
Where every day is Saturday and everyone's a fan, even babies.
Fan babies.
And the seasons never change because the only season is college football season. Get a taste of Fansville this fall during a college football game near you. Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. Grab some today.
Oh, man.
I don't see what's so funny, man.
Here we go. Where to start? Okay. That was a bummer. That was a bummer. And, I mean, Billy already told you what my my Tuesday reaction show would be.
Yeah.
Still early. The objective stays the same. So we're not going to get into any of that.
No.
And this is when you want to lose. We're not going to do that.
So, were we tricked by Richt on this? Is it Rozier or Rozier?
Rozier.
On the broadcast, everyone's saying Rozier.
Yeah, I heard that. No broadcasters knew how to say Malik Rozier's name. No,
Well, that's because they don't know what they're talking about. Right. It sounds like you guys are already jumping off the bandwagon.
no, people.
You guys are done with this team, or
No.
you guys are fake fans. I'm just going to say it right now. You guys are fake.
No.
Fake AF. All of you.
No.
You're done with this team? Get out of here.
No, I'm not done with this team because of all the things that Billy said that I would say. I'm not done with this team, people. By the way, people, you are an icon to Miami fans alike. I went to Dallas for the game. By the way, Miami incredibly well represented for this neutral site game. LSU's played a home game essentially in Dallas, Texas for 4 straight years. They always are represented well in Dallas. I thought that was like close to a 60-40 split in the stadium. I was really blown away by how well represented Miami fans were, and that's why this loss at this point in the season on that stage is such a bummer. I feel like the entire national narrative is sort of not even paying attention to the fact that this game essentially came down to a few plays and it was a 2-score game. I think that the national audience turned that game off at 27-3, and it was a total embarrassment for the University of Miami. And here's a big takeaway that I have, guys, is I don't think LSU is a good team.
Oh, boy.
I don't think LSU is good. This is going to be a mid-level SEC team, and I'm pretty sure I know how their season's going to go. They're going to get excited. They'll probably lose to Auburn, and this season probably ends for them losing to Alabama, 28-7. Just like it'll end for us in the ACC championship game.
Wrong.
Of a similar score to Clemson.
Nope. This game's ending for the Canes, holding the trophy at the end of the year. Everybody knows it. National championship. I feel like we were watching different games.
Right.
You guys and me yesterday or Sunday, whenever the game was.
Right.
Here's the thing. A lot of different things. Every team's going to lose, right? But the smart coaches, they pick when to lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Richt said, you know what? If we're going to have to lose because the refs, obviously cheating the entire game, he said, you know what? We're not going to beat the refs. We're not going to beat the Zebras this game. So he said, you know what? This is the game. But there's a lot of people to blame. I didn't even realize this until someone told me on Twitter. Here's the thing. Whoever ranks these teams had it against UM from the beginning. Had it against the U. That team that we played against, not a number 22 team. That's a top 5 team if I've ever seen one. Top 5 team in the country. And they said this team's number 22, and they put UM at number 8 so that it looks embarrassing that the first game you lose to a 22 team. And that's what happened. But we didn't even lose. I'll get to that in a minute. Another thing, the schedule makers. Who makes these schedules? Everyone knows the first week of the season you're supposed to play a Papa team. And we didn't play a Papa team. We played a top 5 team in the country.
What?
That's right. A top 5 team in the do you guys disagree with that?
No. I wish we could do the Florida thing, which is beat an FCS team and start booking travel to the college football playoffs.
Is Papa like a cupcake?
No,
Soft. Papa's soft.
Papa's mashed potatoes.
Yeah, the soft team. That's what you're supposed to play. Alabama play Louisville, please. And everybody thinks Alabama's so good. Who did Clemson play? Some state, west, east, south, north, something stupid.
Furman.
Yeah, who is that?
It might have been a guy named Furman.
Please.
That Miami offensive line. Woof.
Dude, the Miami offensive line, Malik Rozier actually isn't bad historically. You okay, Greg?
I'm fine.
Malik Rozier, during his time as a starter, he's actually not been terrible against the blitz. He had 2 interceptions against the blitz against LSU. That's more interceptions than he had all of last year. The O-line was bad, but I was really more disappointed in our running backs and their inability to pick up the blitzes. Chalk Gray, that's what. If you told me Chalk Gray was on the take and you hold up some of his attempts at blocking LSU linebackers, I wouldn't fight you on that. Chalk Gray, can we please stop trying to make this thing happen? Just like I heard the same things about Rozier and Chalk Gray. Oh, they're different players now. They had incredible camps. That's the same exact Malik Rozier. This is the same exact Miami team that I saw the last month of the season to end last year. And that's what's incredibly frustrating is I thought that we'd see some development, and you needed to see that development from your quarterback specifically. He's the same guy 15 yards and out. 5 of 14 on passes, 15 yards or longer. The defense, which was a sensation last year, I understand that they had a pick 6 courtesy of Malik Rozier, which I know he was under pressure, but Lord knows where he was throwing that ball anyways. But this is another game where your defense has given up 30 points. 3rd straight game. Took over the nation with the turnover chain. They hadn't given up 30 points in the previous 17 games. This was a team that, it was a bit of fool's gold, especially that Georgia Tech game, which should have been a loss. You had that miracle catch by Langham. But this was a team that not too long ago had the nation's longest winning streak. Now they've lost 4 straight games. In terms of the national perspective, they're a joke. No one's going to remember that they turned up against Virginia Tech. No one even remembers that Notre Dame game is ancient history now. They've seen Miami show up in an ACC championship game, get embarrassed, show up in their home stadium in a neutral site game against Wisconsin, get embarrassed, and here they are against an LSU team with a quarterback that's the same exact quarterback we've seen at LSU, just with maybe a little bit more mobility because he got away with some tackles. But again, another inefficient performance from that quarterback. That's the same exact team. Losing to Ed Orgeron? You kidding me? This prehistoric offense, they weren't even that good. That, by the way, that 50-yard run though, incredible blocking. I was under the impression that block that they made on Quarterman was made illegal, that chop block, but apparently it's not. Good job out of them. They had one dynamite play on offense, and any other long play that they had was on Javonte Dean, who went in for Trajan Bandy, who was kicked out, and we're down to the same exact thing that we saw at the end of last year. No Trajan Bandy out there. This is where your Malik Young injury comes back to haunt you because you don't have the depth anymore. Anytime LSU was making a big play, and there weren't many, was because we were rotating substitutes in, and we don't have the depth. And how do we not have a quarterback solution just yet? Mark Richt is reputed to be a quarterback master. He's recruited some of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, Matthew Stafford. He had David Green, who was a prolific NCAA quarterback. Aaron Murray, prolific college passer. We're here year 3. Okay? No quarterback. Is that, Greg, what's going on over there?
It's fine.
Greg.
What?
Greg, why is your computer making noise?
I'm going to turn it down as soon as I can find the volume here.
What's happening right now?
Okay.
Why aren't we talking about the real story, which is how the refs cheated? Why haven't you brought that up yet?
There were some backbreaking.
They cheated.
Yeah.
They cheated, and everybody could see it. They kicked out number 2.
Yeah.
Number 2's our best guy on defense, obviously.
That was fair. That was targeting.
No, what? They kicked out number 2, who's our best guy on defense. You can argue with me all you want. Before he got kicked out, they gave up 0 points. After he got kicked out, they gave up 33 points. Simple math, people. Wake up. They kicked him out. And you know what? They had to find a reason to kick him out because they got that turnover on that clean hit. I don't even know what targeting is. A clean hit. And they got that turnover. So then they went to the replay and they looked for 20 minutes to find some obscure rule to kick him out of the game. And you know what? That would have been a touchdown. So that's already 7 points that they cost to you. And I'm pretty sure they kicked a field goal, so that's 10 points that they cost to you. Because they kicked a field goal that wouldn't have happened, and it would have been 7 points in the other direction. Oh. So that's number 1, when they cheated. When they kicked out number 2.
Oh, you want to mention field goal.
And the fumble! I'm telling you, they had that fumble, and that would have been a touchdown. Easy.
I was celebrating.
Easy.
I was celebrating the Bandy turnover early on. I was rocking my turnover chain. Number 2.
The best guy on defense.
The best guy on defense. I was celebrating because I thought they were going to review because this was going to be a turnover, and in turn I was celebrating Bandy being ejected, which effectively, in part, on that defensive end, changed the game because Miami, again, still doesn't have the depth. You mentioned the field goal. I have a mind-blowing stat. People get Billy Gill because I need to share it with him.
I don't want to hear from that guy today. That guy's a jerk. All he does is laugh at the U.
College kickers. We've experienced our trouble here. Badgley was sort of inconsistent despite his record for points on the team. Bubba Baxa, I know everybody was laughing at the 4 of 10 field goals.
What is up with that?
I think the volume.
Can someone explain that to me?
I think the volume is shocking, but I'm sure people would be like, "Why are you recruiting a kicker?"
Why is that guy on the team, bro?
4 out of 10.
40. He kicked 10 field goals in high school, and he's on the team. He didn't make half of them.
Greg Cote could go 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I could.
My guess is that, and I don't know if this dude attended camps, but my guess is when you have a ridiculously low volume of 4 out of 10 in high school, my guess is you're actually attending kicking camps, and there's a lot of scouts out there, and you've been really impressive. Bubba Baxa was the 3rd highest recruit in terms of kicking. I'm not worried about Bubba Baxa because he missed a 40-plus yarder as a true freshman against LSU. I'm not worried about Baxa just yet because college kickers miss, except for the ones that play the University of Miami. So here's an amazing stat, and Tim Reynolds of the AP was tweeting this out. You want to guess how many straight field goals opposing kickers have made against the University of Miami?
800.
A little bit over. But 57 straight field goals.
Oh, my God.
Wow. This dude for LSU was a D2 transfer. The Clemson ones in the ACC championship game were ridiculous because they have struggled. 57 straight made field goals in college against the University of Miami. That was the last miss was the Duke game in 2016, meaning Donald Trump was elected as president 10 days before the most recent missed field goal against the University of Miami. That's me clapping my hands out of frustration. This is ridiculous. If this is ever going to make itself up, we need like 12 straight misses out the box, and Savannah State might do that. If Savannah State can even get past midfield, because Savannah State, I believe, made 1 completion in their game against UAB. Savannah State, not good, which leads me to my next point, which is Jaron Williams.
The refs again, cheating?
No.
Oh.
Jaron Williams. People, you know who Jaron Williams is?
Who's that?
Jaron Williams.
Number 37. Freshman. Number 42. Number
Freshman
87.
Freshman quarterback, which might be the answer
16.
to where's this great quarterback that quarterback guru Mark Richt is supposed to be recruiting. He's not ready by what Mark Richt says in terms of knowing the offense. He's not comfortable enough throwing Williams out there. And we saw with LSU's pass rush and our inability to block him, even though Rozier was terrible, and the same Malik Rozier you saw over the last month of the season, you don't want to put a true freshman in that situation. It became pretty obvious why Malik Rozier was there. Nkosi Perry was not an option because Nkosi Perry was suspended. Nkosi Perry, not a thing. Let's stop talking about it. He's not the future of this program. He's had every opportunity to do little things and big things in camp. Can't do it. Can't be trusted. We're on to Jaron Williams. Nkosi Perry probably got a transfer. We all fell for it. We all wanted Nkosi Perry to be the guy. He's not the guy, clearly. Can't be trusted. Weldon, maybe. From what I hear about Weldon, he's got a bit of an attitude that his teammates actually respond to. They like his fiery leadership. He's going to turn the ball over if he gets out there, but I don't think he's a kind of stud star quarterback. So the stud star quarterback is probably Jaron Williams. He doesn't know the offense yet. I don't care if he knows 5 plays. Throw him out there for the 5 plays he does know against Savannah State. Let's see something. You can play him in up to 4 games with the new red shirt rules. Let's see if we got a guy.
What happened to the Heisman candidate?
Bro, this guy's off the bandwagon, Dan. I don't know what's going on with him. All of a sudden, we're serious. I'm telling you right now, and I told him before, and you missed this. Dan, the refs were cheating all game long. All game long. They kicked out number 2. I'm going to catch you up. They kicked out number 2, the best player on defense, obviously. Then, that was going to be a touchdown. They got a field goal out of it. That's 10 points right there. 7 points for the U, 3 points for LSU. That's a 10-point difference. Then, what about the other play? that fumble that they recovered, that they ran back for a touchdown. Do you remember that play?
I do.
And then another replay. The replay exists only to screw the U. I'm telling you right now, screw the U is what they said when they pitched the replay review in college, and everybody's like, yep, because everybody hates the U. Everybody knows it. So what's that? That's 7 plus 3 is like 16 or 17 points right there that the U had. So instead of a 33 to, what was the score? 33 to 17 game.
Tie game.
No! Tie game nada. Get tie game, need tie game. The game should have been 31 to 16 to U if it wasn't for those 2-3 plays by the refs. And I'm sure there's another 7 in there somewhere if I go looking for something that they did.
Oh, people, you forgot the punt sequence in the second half when you're trying to get back into the game.
I didn't forget that. You tell them, though.
The LSU punter flops deep within his own end zone. There was a holding call earlier in the game that might have occurred in the end zone.
And there's face masks left and right that they're not calling.
Okay, so the punter flops, gets another crack at the punt in his own end zone, and then a Miami player comes charging in to block the punt, jumps straight up in the air, gets upended 15 yards on Miami. I don't understand that rule. And now that we're on the subject of punting,
the rule is you can't somersault over.
Yeah, but he didn't. He jumped straight up in the air and he got upended. Okay, like he can't control his body when there's somebody going
What's
low.
the rule?
You can't do what the UM guy did.
Yeah, of course. You can never do what the UM guy does. That's the rule. UM did it. Can't do it. Nope.
The rule,
whistle, flag, everything.
I think the rule is in place to protect the player from himself. He didn't flip over the line. That's a rule that probably needs some reevaluating. But you mentioned punting, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to rip a college kid. I'm going to do it.
You're going to rip Fields?
How do we lose to a guy named Burro? Is anyone going to tell me that?
He's not good. That Joe Burrow. Not good.
Right.
Zach Fiegels. Okay, punts of 22, 34, 20. Giving LSU, I'm clapping again.
It's so strange.
He wasn't good last year.
Giving LSU the ball at their 44, their 42, and UM's 47. Putting your defense in a terrible spot because all this limited LSU offense has to do is get one first down, a first down that they probably get on an extended drive because of penalty that UM
You lost
surrenders.
to such a bad offense.
That's a bad team. Dan, LSU's not good.
Top 5.
LSU's not good. LSU's not a good team. This is not a couple plays away from beating Alabama, which is
they
why
must
it's so
have one
discouraging.
good corner because
Greedy. Here's the thing with Almon Richards. This is becoming
useless, man.
Well, Almon Richards wasn't even there in the second half because he got hurt, but it's not a major injury. There were all these sort of unsubstantiated rumors that he yelled at Malik Rozier at halftime. That was just total Kane's Twitter nonsense. It's not what happened. He hurt his knee, apparently, and now there's people around the program and fans alike saying, what's going on with Almon Richards? Is he soft? A lot of people questioning his toughness. I'm not going to go that far. Jeff Thomas, though. I told you Jeff Thomas in the slot. We got an NFL player on our hands. We got a first-round talent in Jeff Thomas, 132 yards. Brian Hightower, a true freshman, catching a touchdown pass. Should have had another one. Malik Rozier lost him.
And a Heisman quarterback.
No, here's the thing about the Heisman, which was totally taken out of context, even though I put appropriate context on it, which was if Miami handles its business against an easy schedule, and you have a quarterback for an undefeated program,
he's going to be... This is what I don't want to hear from you, okay? You spent all of last season crushing the kid, then you spent all of the offseason convincing yourself that he was going to get a lot better. And they're getting amateur play from their quarterback position, and they tried to hide him all of last year, and they tried to hide him, and they did for 10 games. They hit him for 10 games.
Yeah, I don't think it's true that I was crushing Malik Rozier all season. I think Malik Rozier, and I'm still okay with Malik Rozier, even though he missed some really easy passes. Malik Rozier was the same Malik Rozier, and that's really frustrating. He's incredibly limited. But I'm not going to hold it against him because he's limited. What I will hold against this program is that we haven't found anybody better. This isn't a short period of time.
That's the biggest indictment.
This isn't a transitional year.
No, that's a fair indictment. That you can't find anything better to put at quarterback than that is a totally fair indictment.
You had Mark Richt, who was shoving Brad Kaya out the door. Didn't want him here. And his best option was Malik Rozier. Hell, Eason, the kid from Georgia, was available as a transfer. If Malik Rozier was going to be the same guy that you weren't committed to winning the starting job. Why didn't you go in after Eason? He knows your offense. Why are we here this far along into the Mark Richt experiment when the quarterback guru hasn't found a
what are you
quarterback?
Laughing at, Cody?
Experiment. That's interesting.
The Mark Richt experiment.
He was a hero 6 months ago.
I like Mark Richt.
6 months ago. One game ago.
One game. Well, he did end badly last year.
But guys, players are just not doing their jobs out there. Chuck Gray's a fifth-year senior. Chuck Gray's been here since the 80s. I think he lifted the first national championship. Chuck Gray sliding out of the way of a linebacker. Players making dumb penalties. Your punters shanking punts left and right. Even in pregame warm-ups, I'm watching this guy. He kicks a 15-yarder.
Blocked by one LSU offensive lineman.
These are players not executing. You just don't have the depth.
Right.
You just don't have the depth because when your first-team defense is out there, by the way, one question mark, defensive line, Gerald Willis was the best player on the field. He was the best player on the field. We didn't expect that, but he comes out of the game, they carve you up the middle. You can't survive a Trajan Bandy ejection because Javonte Dean comes
Mike,
in there and he gets attacked.
Mike, you can sit here and complain about the execution. You get throttled that way by that team. With no offense. That team has no offense.
That's not a good team.
You get throttled that way by that team. Everything that was talked about this offseason was a lie.
Miami might not face a better defense than LSU's until and if they meet Clemson in the ACC championship game again. That's a very good defense.
I think Virginia Tech might have something to say about that now, too.
I would make that argument.
If Clemson gets there.
What are you talking about, people? Clemson's in the middle of their dynasty right now.
Let's get quieted down after that.
What are you talking about? Have you not been paying attention? What game were all of you guys watching? I explained to you that the game was 33-16 to U if it wasn't for those cheating refs. And that's even with those basura uniforms that they were wearing. Literally, basura from the ocean. You know what I did yesterday in the middle of the hurricane? I went out to Nixon on my Bowie Jorgito. Dos latones de basura we threw back in the ocean.
Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, your assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. That gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. This is very cool here. First, they'll lock your rate up for 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rates stay the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, simple. Go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. Rate Shield approval, only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
Billy, what is your top 5 people you want to see wake up in the morning because you want to see what they look like?
In no particular order.
No, they have to be in a particular order.
All right, fine. In particular
Number
order.
5, Billy.
Stugotz.
Mel Kiper Jr.
Number 4, Billy.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Number 3, Billy.
Anderson Cooper.
Number 2, Billy.
John Travolta.
That'd be great.
Creepy. That thing he wears on his head is gonna crawl out of the closet onto his head. And the number 1 person that you want to see in the morning is
Beyonce. I want to know if she woke up like this.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
So wait a second. The announcers were right in how they were pronouncing Malik Rozier's name?
Technically, they were. I had occasion to speak to Malik's father last year for a column when his dad was going through a pretty serious health crisis. And I said, because I had heard both sides, I said, what is the actual pronunciation of your family surname? And he basically said, well, we refer to it as Rozier, but it has sort of become Rozier because that's such a sort of a name, particularly in the context of college football. So it's not incorrect to refer to it as Rozier, but it's also sort of not incorrect because either pronunciation is fine with the family.
How does Josie say it?
Rozier.
That's how
Rozier. Actually, he pronounces it Rozier.
It's like Aki.
Should be pronounced inaccurate. He's the same guy, man. We were lied to, and I perpetuated this lie. He's the exact same guy. This is the exact same team from the last month.
He's tough and not a lot else.
The one good thing that came from him being so bad was that we got to see that catch from Jeff Thomas because the throw was so behind him that Jeff Thomas made like the one-handed grab.
I saw some of those in college football. Now everyone's doing the Odell Beckham thing. Like every damn athlete in the sport is able to do that one-handed catch and stuff.
Man, I'm cringing a little bit at what Rozier said about Jeff Thomas because it's not something that you want your quarterback saying. He's too fast. Oh, oh man. I'm a little worried about this whole dynamic with Malik Rozier, or Rozier. And I'm just going to pronounce it like Joe Z because he's the voice of the Hurricanes. So what the voice says goes. Yeah. So Malik Rozier. And his relationship with this team, just following from social media and vibes that I'm hearing from around that program and how the team seems to really gravitate towards Weldon because of his attitude and his fiery sort of leadership style. I know that Rozier is tight with Travis Homer. I know that Jeff Thomas, and it wasn't really talked about a lot, had considered transferring last year, and that's really odd for a true freshman that gets as much playing time and as many touchdowns as Jeff Thomas had last year. It leads me to sort of speculate as to what's really going on, what sort of personality type is Malik Rozier.
Well, it's always funny to me because when they were 10-0 and ranked number 2 in the country, you didn't hear a lot of complaints about Rozier. People did mention the low completion percentage and all of that, but you really didn't hear a lot of complaints at 10-0.
They tried to hide him all of last season until they couldn't anymore against Pittsburgh and Clemson. But through all of, they ran off Brad Kaya because he can't do any of that run option stuff. They've got Rozier because he can do that run option stuff, and Rick doesn't mind when he doesn't have Stafford at Georgia. He doesn't,
David Green or Aaron Murray.
He does. He'll prefer to sort of shell game it at quarterback with some mobility and some options. Mm-hmm. But you can't be an elite football program unless you're Alabama without a quarterback. Yeah, and they don't have a quarterback.
Right, but they disguised it pretty well through 10 games is what I'm saying. Why? Because of that defense, which had 30 takeaways in 10 games and has had 1 in the past 4 games. If your defense plays like the turnover chain sensation that we expect, then the lack of a marquee elite quarterback is disguisable.
Well, I think the biggest difference, even outside of the quarterback position, because Nick Saban's done a fair amount of winning, and now he's just sort of decided, I'll try to get a quarterback that's actually good. He's done a lot of winning with mediocre quarterbacks. Quarterbacks that are along the same sort of talent level that Malik Rozier is. Yes. I think the biggest difference between this program and the elites is that first-team defense, it's solid. It's really solid. But all of a sudden, Bandy goes out, and Javonte Dean comes in, and he gets picked on for the 2 plays that they actually threw downfield for. Willis goes out on a substitution. You get gashed right up the gut. Now, a lot of this is not really Mark Richt's fault. McIntosh and Norton go on to the NFL. Norton was drafted in the 7th round, even though my prediction was right that everybody there was getting drafted. Norton gets cut by the Carolina Panthers, so that seems to have been a terrible mistake for him. Malik Young, your starting corner, who was the first to put on that turnover chain, has a terrible career-ending injury. All of a sudden, you can go from Bandy, who was one of the best slot corners in the nation.
They're not special, okay? That's over. They're not any kind of special. That first game, losing that way to that team, the SEC ran roughshod over the first weekend. LSU's okay. They've got no offense.
Yeah,
you lost to half a team from the middle of the SEC.
Yeah, LSU's been amazing against the ACC. I think they're 23-1 in their last 24 games against the ACC. This is a mid-level SEC team, and they just put the boots to a team that was and is still predicted to win the Coastal Division. I'm not going to do the whole thing where this really doesn't change the season because I think we all know it really doesn't, but the disappointing thing is you had several tens of thousands show up in Dallas. You had a city that was ready to get behind this team, and now all of that has gone away. You had the slight hope that maybe it comes back if you handle your business with an easy schedule for the FSU game. FSU is trash. That game's not going to mean as much. even though it's a rivalry game. So you're still sort of stuck in this. We had this moment to seize. And all the capital that you bought up with amazing performances against Virginia Tech and Notre Dame, it's all gone now. It's all ancient history. No one remembers it. They just remember the University of Miami now showing up in these big games and getting absolutely throttled.
I think it's muted. I don't think it's gone. I think if you win 4 in a row and then you beat FSU and all of a sudden you're 5-1, some of that buzzes back.
Did you not watch FSU
Some of
yesterday?
that buzzes back.
Did you
yeah,
not?
they lost worse than Miami did, but it's still FSU. It's still the rivalry. Whether FSU comes in 3-2 or 4-1, it's still a big win if you beat FSU.
Good use of roughshod.
College football is so plagued with recency bias that Miami wins 5 straight games against a soft part of the schedule. They'll be right back in the top 10 and being talked about a team that if they win the ACC,
Mike, they're not special. They're not.
No, they're not. They are in certain parts of the team. That offense is absolutely special. Our wide receivers are dynamite. That's depth across the board. Backfield, I think depth across the board. Offensive line, we don't have the depth there. Defense, we don't have the depth there. And that's what's really separating Miami from being elite. When players go out, you can't survive a bandy ejection.
I don't know what what you saw from their wide receivers on Sunday that I didn't see.
Separation.
Okay, but that's fine, and didn't do them any good last year. Like he misses a lot of deep passes, whether they have the separation or not. And furthermore, the offensive line wasn't very good.
The offensive line wasn't good, Dan. Malik Rozier was under pressure 40% of the time. That's a lot to ask for a quarterback who's inaccurate too. But I saw wide receivers open and tight ends open a lot, especially in that second half. And Malik Rozier either didn't see them or missed them, not by a little bit, by miles. By miles.
Richards, Cager, and Thomas are 3 pretty good wide receivers who you might even think of as way above average if you have an elite quarterback throwing to them.
Hightower, your true freshman, caught a 32-yard touchdown and should have caught another really long pass.
Your best receiver was erased Sunday. The best receiver on that football team was erased. He was a total non-factor. LSU put a professional cornerback on him, and he had nothing for him. Nothing.
He got 1 catch on him. He had separation a couple of times, but the pressure got to Malik Rozier before he could see him open. And then he didn't play an entire half, Dan. He suffered a knee injury that many are not calling serious. I don't know what to tell you about Amon Richards because even when he's available, he hasn't really been available. He's either been fighting some sort of lower body injury. I would have loved to have seen Amon Richards versus Greedy Williams. I was watching it a lot. I thought there were times that Richards got the better of him. But
the second time they threw to him, did Richards look open to you? The 2 times they targeted Richards, the second time they threw to him, not the bull bleep slant, when he's like, here, go one-on-one with their professional corner. How did that go?
Greedy Williams is the best cornerback in the nation. And I think Amon Richards is one of, when healthy, the best wide receivers in the nation.
This is what I'm telling you. When you're one of the best receivers in the nation, it doesn't go 1 catch for 9 yards on you. It doesn't happen to any of the other teams anywhere in the sport where you're the best receiver in the country and it's 1 catch for 9 yards.
Oh, I think it happens. It happens when you're the best pass rusher in the nation and then you get stuck in Brian McKinney's belly button. Sometimes greatness does that. We'll see what happens with Odell Beckham when he goes up against Jalen Ramsey. Greedy Williams is that kind of NFL prospect. He's an incredible player. And we still had success on him later on in the game.
You have to stop with we had any success on anything about anybody against anything. Like, what success are you talking about? You were down 33-3.
Because
what success is this that you're talking about?
Players were
33-3.
Because players were winning their matchups.
Okay, 33-3 winning their matchups.
Well, you're over here sort of dismissing the talent that they have on the offensive side. Their wide receivers are incredible, which is why it's super frustrating when you have an inaccurate quarterback because against a really good defense in LSU, you only have a certain amount.
Were so incredible that they were down 33-3
until they were up 14-0.
Stugotz here. There's nothing small about your business. It takes a lot of hard work, and it makes a huge difference. As a thank you during Dell's annual sale, Dell Small Business is offering up to 40% off select PCs with Intel Core processors. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with a small business technology advisor today. You'll get tech advice and one-on-one partnership to help your business grow. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
Dan Le Batard.
561, eat it!
Stugotz.
Eat it, 561.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
Greg, am I being a homer about what I saw on the field? I know that...
Yep.
I know that what happened on television was just a lot of people turning off their TVs because LSU was really giving it to Miami, and it wasn't a tale of a few plays. It was just a thorough domination once again by the SEC.
Right. I think toward the end of the game, UM saved face just a little bit. I mean, there is a difference between losing 33-3 and losing 33-17.
Oh, for the love of God. We go from one homer to a worse homer over here. No. For the love of God. 14 bull bleep points at the end, and you guys are moral victorying it after telling me all offseason they were a top 5 team. For the love of God.
Why are they bull bleep points? Well, I don't understand why they're bull bleep points. It was a 2-possession game.
Because LSU was playing its second string, and Miami at the end of the game was still running their starters out there.
Do you know that LSU was playing their second string?
Yes, I do. Yes.
I saw true freshman Brian Hightower and Evidence Njoku. Is that first stringers for Miami out there? No, those are second string guys too. There's reason to be hopeful,
for the love of God.
Because there were plays to be made, and the University of Miami just didn't make the plays. I'm here telling you, LSU's not a good team. That's a bad loss. It's a very bad loss for the University of Miami.
They did win the fourth quarter. I mean, Mike is right about that. They won the fourth quarter. They dominated the fourth quarter. I mean,
and that third quarter. It was sort of surreal being there because things escalated so quickly, and for that first quarter,
because your quarterback threw it right to their linebacker.
That was awful.
I don't know what he was doing.
That was terrible.
Dan, I know he was under pressure, but I still don't know where that ball was supposed to go.
No, I do know where it was. The second, it was the inside receiver on the slant. He just didn't. He totally read it wrong. And just threw it right into the lap of the linebacker.
But you're here telling me that I've trashed Malik Rozier. I'm trying to be fair to Malik Rozier. I know exactly who Malik Rozier is, and on a team that's super deep and super talented, it might be good enough to get
good
you.
Enough for what?
It might be good enough. I've seen it in the past.
But to win that crud conference,
crud conference might be actually a fair
to
assessment.
win the coastal part
of division.
Yeah. I mean, the ACC for the last few years has been top heavy. When their best goes up against the SEC's
I don't understand how you take that particular beating on Sunday and are out here saying anything about that team other than, wow, what a raging offseason fraud.
Well, my frustrations are that it wasn't a fair fight. We have a punter given a really limited offense the ball 3 different times to the point that they only have to get a first down. And what does Miami do?
That's your punter. That's the same guy who was doing that his father didn't do it that way.
Right.
Yeah. That guy's been doing it that way since he's been here.
Yeah, I'd rather have Jeff Fiegels right now punting for my college team who's like 50 years old.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Would Jeff Fiegels, the father, be better at punting right now at 55 than the son?
I don't know if it's loyalty to the Fiegels family. This thing is perplexing to me. Spicer had a couple of punts last year, and they were solid. And in warm-ups, Fiegels does the same exact thing he does in games.
But do you understand how amusing – maybe you don't understand how amusing it is. For you to be down 33-3 and then telling me if just a couple of punts had gone differently, it would have been we're challenging Alabama. Get the bleep out of here, man.
I understand. I think that was a series of really unfortunate events and things just snowballed. I understand. But, hey, no, they got dominated. You turned off your TV at 27-3. The nation did too. We suck. I don't think it's like that. I'm not going to go firing everybody and benching Malik Rozier just because what I saw were 2 teams that were even. And when the second quarter started, I was telling people around me, Miami's better. And then
you were wearing a giant orange cowboy hat. You've been drinking since 11 a.m.
You need to say it. I mean, and it goes without saying that's what you think.
That was a great-looking hat.
That hat on.
That was fantastic, that hat.
The orange hat, I realized, was an unfortunate decision around 27-3.
Yeah.
In retrospect, having a shining beacon on top of my head where everyone, LSU and Miami fans alike, could come gravitate towards me and give me their thoughts on what was happening as my marriage was falling apart at the seams because my wife really cares about this team, was a mistake.
But you're wearing that hat. Did you really feel the need after the first quarter to run around the stadium and try to convince people that the Canes are better? I mean,
we're winning our matchups. We're winning our matchups.
I know it's funny to laugh at me, and I was wearing a ridiculous hat, but Man, they had the ball at midfield, and they'd go 3 and out, and we'd have a penalty on the 3rd down, and they'd get 1 first down, and then they make a 54-yard field goal, which ices the game. The opposing teams haven't missed a field goal since Trump was elected. That's not a joke. 57 straight college football field goals have been made against his team. What? It just wasn't fair, dude.
Wow.
It's just not fair.
Were you getting heckled by LSU fans?
Here, LSU fans, bit of a mixed bag. I met some really nice ones, and I met some really awful people.
Do you know?
Were really aggressive.
At Benihana, sometimes the chef will throw a shrimp into his hat from the spatula.
Yep.
Ed Orgeron should have just left poop in the top of that orange cowboy hat of yours. Ed Orgeron went into that game saying, I'm going to out-physical you then. And what happens on 3rd and 1? First down. What happens on 4th and 1? First down. What happens on 4th and 1? Offsides. And he did nothing but run the ball. His quarterback was useless in the game.
His quarterback was maybe worse than Rozier.
His quarterback didn't have to do anything all game, and you're down 33-3 and blaming your punter.
I love the visual of Orgeron cooking poop on the cooking surface and just flipping it into Mike's hat.
Just his own poop flipped right into Mike's giant orange cowboy hat.
I mean, you guys are right.
Tices it up.
You guys are right. It's a bad team, and it's a really disappointing start to the season, and I don't know what the high end is for this season.
Hey, well, everything's going to be fine. We got Savannah State, Toledo, and FIU next.
Yeah.
3-1, back to like number 15.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's going to be just fine.
I'm with Chris. That's the best thing I've heard.
3-1, maybe 2-2.
I mean, you lose early, you lose at the right time, and now it's just a climb back into the top 5. Chris is right. That's a good way of looking at it.
If you're a Canes fan, it's very legitimate for you to say to yourself, look, my team just played its worst game of the season. They're not going to play worse than they did Sunday night when everything went wrong. So let's not overreact to one loss. They still have every capability of having a 10-win season, of going back to the ACC title game. All is not lost.
That is certainly going to be the most ferocious and not necessarily aggressive, because Virginia Tech does some aggressive things on defense, but in terms of NFL talent, that is the most ferocious front line. And you had an offensive line that, even though some of those guys have been around the program for a while and some of them have had game experience, they haven't had game experience at their positions.
Right. What are you doing with all is not lost? This is the lament of the loser right here. They only could lose one game, and they lost it about as poorly as you could lose it.
Right.
They can only be 0-1. So the start of the season is a disaster. And the start of the season, when you're sitting here saying, well, that's the time to lose, because you don't
I didn't say that.
Because you said all is not lost.
Yeah, I didn't say that was the time to lose.
I said that.
Historically, though, it is a time to lose.
No, that's fine. And you could say they'll run the table if you want to be hopelessly delusional, and you could say they're going to be in the Final Four all you like. But when you say all is not lost, all of the momentum from the offseason, all of the Mark Richt is back, all of that stadium was going to be full for Savannah State because the U is back. All that is lost.
Yeah, which I wrote in my column in today's paper.
That's gone.
I wrote that exactly, but it's retrievable.
But that ain't coming back.
Yes, it is.
No,
it's retrievable.
No, it isn't.
It's retrievable.
Not next week, it's not.
No, next week, but you can build it back up.
No, until you lose to Clemson because you're not good enough. Until you lose at the end to Clemson because you went through your crud part of the conference and you ended up at Clemson's lap, and then next thing you know, you're down 33-3 again.
Miami's a long way from elite. They're a long way from Clemson and Alabama and Georgia, and that's very obvious. But there's a second tier that they're capable of being in, and we saw it much of last season.
That means all is lost. When you're talking about second tiers after game one, all is lost, Greg. Everything, all the enthusiasm that there was for this season is gone.
I think you're wrong. I think it's retrievable. I don't think it's gone. I think it's muted and it needs to be brought back, but I don't think it's
I just
gone.
don't see how you could see them lose that way. It's one thing if whatever you're citing LSU's defense and you lose 9-6 because you're like, we just couldn't move the ball. But that's not what happened. Right. You looked incompetent. You're jumping off sides on 4th and short.
Yeah,
your punter can't kick the ball straight. Anytime a receiver's open, your quarterback can't hit him, and then your quarterback throws it straight to their linebacker. Their offense never has to take a chance all game because of how bad you are at offense.
I don't disagree. They started 0-1
but everything I just said is true.
Right.
And that's not that is where all is lost when you lose that way at the opener after this. Man, they were ranked 25th. You were ranked 8th.
Yeah.
You were ranked in the top 10. All that is lost.
It seems very clear that LSU was underranked and that Miami was overranked. And I don't say that in retrospect. Miami finished last season ranked number 13. Yet they're ranked number 8 in the preseason poll. That was a little bit too much credit given them.
Because you had another year of Mark Richt at the helm and players actually developing. And what we saw was some development on some ends, but a team that didn't develop at the most important position, quarterback. And you're a few years into this.
That's where you are 2 years into this whole thing. You're 2 years into trying to convince me the U is back without a quarterback. When the U was what you remember of the U, it didn't bleep and matter whether it was Torretta or Erickson or Testaverde. Right. Any of them would have been made something special. That's what you wanted from Rozier. That's what you wanted from him.
Rozier.
That's what you wanted, and you were talking Heisman candidacy. If everything breaks right,
yeah. If he's undefeated, if he wins that game against LSU,
the way it broke for Dorsey, where he wasn't the best player in his own backfield, but he was being considered for the best player in the country.
Yeah,
but that's not where you are, is what I'm telling you.
No, your tone may be awful, but your message is absolutely right.
You're just getting amateur play at quarterback.
Fine.
No, it's just look, man. I'm bummed because we lost Dan. We lost Dan's excitement, and we had him there. We had a lot of the nation there. We had a city there. And this city
I won't believe in them again.
No,
I will not. I don't believe they can beat Clemson.
I don't either.
They're not going to be able to beat Clemson, Dan, but we knew that going into this season.
I didn't know that going into the season.
We're too far away. We're too far away from Clemson.
I did not know that going into the season. I thought this season was supposed to be about knocking off Clemson.
No, it was never about that.
It was about getting closer.
Oh, no, I'm with Dan. I thought it was about knocking off Clemson. No. I thought it was about getting to the Final Four.
Man, you start 8 in the country, and it's not about knocking off Clemson? You're starting 8. You're in the top 10 in the country before you've played a game, and it's not about knocking off Clemson?
No, when you lose to Clemson 33-3 or whatever.
The hope is that you get to that game. The hope is this is where your season's loss is. You can't survive a Clemson loss. We all knew going into the season you had a playoff game in the ACC championship against Clemson again, what was essentially a playoff game, and you were hoping that you could survive it with a loss, with a win against LSU. That's all gone. That's all gone now. I do think you're being a little bit prisoner of the moment and thinking that feeling won't come back because who's to say that game against in Blacksburg against Virginia Tech isn't for the Coastal, Mike, and that's a college game day game.
I'm not buying. We can reconvene at 5-1. I ain't buying Toledo and Savannah State and FIU, and then maybe you win one against Va-Tech. I'm not buying.
There is a Florida State game before that.
I'm telling you, I just saw
5-1. You have them beating the Knolls, huh?
Well, even if they beat Florida State, even if they beat Florida State, I'm still going to look at it and say that team can't play with the SEC. Can't do it.
No, they're not. They're not deep enough. They're not deep enough. When Alabama's first team defensive line goes out on a substitution because they've given up the rare multi-possession drive, they're bringing in blue chippers. Right there to replace them. And you see a beast defensive tackle who was arguably the best player on the field in Willis. A huge question mark entering the season. And all those doubts are gone because he was an absolute monster. And he goes out to get a breather, and they run up the gut, and the game's over. And that's where you are right now. You can't replace the Willis with another Willis. There is no Dwayne Johnson backing up Warren Sapp right now. You don't have that. And it's disappointing. A lot of things out of your hand. People leaving to the NFL when they were told they were higher picks than they actually were. Injuries to Malik Young.
There's some revisionist history on Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, I know.
Dwayne Johnson as a UM player was not anything.
I just like to throw out that The Rock was. I just like to throw out that The Rock was backing up Warren Sapp because it makes it seem so badass.
Sounds better than
he really? He did nothing?
He was not a very good player.
No, you had Will Fork backing up McDougal and William Joseph. That's actually probably the better comparison.
I think the best one ever. Isn't the best one ever Cortez Kennedy, Russell Maryland, Jimmy Jones? Jimmy Jones was the second-round pick. Russell Maryland, number 1 overall. Cortez Kennedy, top 5.
Yeah. And Ed Orgeron coached all those guys, by the way, back at UM.
They were playing against UM. It felt like a little bit. And
Orgeron coached all those guys. All he did was open the locker room door, and they were in your backfield.
I mean, he got Jimmy Johnson dropped him into a diamond mine, but he was there ostensibly coaching those guys.
Orgeron
held the door open.
He was the DL coach.
He was the doorstop.
Until he drank his way out of a job. But that's another story.
I also think Butch Davis was the defensive line coach and that you've got all your facts wrong.
No, that's totally wrong.